get going. So Linda, if you want to start the recording, so we'll be good. Maybe I should, is that gonna go? I'll do it, okay. Okay, all right, well, welcome back. This is the last in our second series, and we're going to, as they say, the mother country or the mother lode of wines, to France. And tonight I have Bertrand Collignon. Am I pronouncing it right, Bertrand?
Yes, this is a bit difficult to pronounce, so congratulations. It's
good. All right. My high school French teacher would be okay.
Even Bertrand is a bit difficult to pronounce for him.
Right. Anyway, I met Bertrand at the International Luxury Travel Market last year. He was very gracious, invited me to join him and a few other people for dinner. We had a fabulous time, became fast friends. He is the president and CEO of Découvert, which is the #1 French DMC, destination management company. He's a virtuoso DMC, and they do the best, individual, as we call it in the industry, FIT, free and independent travel, and also group luxury. He's been in business for 21 years. The company started out doing services exclusively for American museums and universities such as Stanford, Yale, Harvard, Princeton, MoMA, and the High Museum in Atlanta, as well as others, and then branched out. There are 34 people working at Découvert, and there are a few people in the Ivory Coast and 3 in Guadalajara, Mexico. So when you call, we can be a little bit on our time. Bertrand was born in the Loire Valley, so this is a person who knows a lot about it, and now lives in Provence with his lovely wife, Marianne. They have 2 children, David, who is in the company, he's the chief marketing officer, and their daughter, Rachel, who was an actress in New York, but with the theater closed down, I guess, is she back home with you, Bertrand?
She's back home in Marseille now, yes.
In Marseille,
yes,
okay, so she's in Marseille. Yeah. So anyway, I will turn this over to Bertrand to take us through the Loire Valley, which he obviously knows very well. And Bertrand, we're all yours. Can't wait to learn more and see more about this fabulous place.
Perfect. So thank you very much for this very nice introduction. I'm very happy tonight to talk to you about my country, France, which is a wonderful country to be shared. And this is quite a very large country. When Sandra requested that we should talk about wines in France, I was a little bit afraid. In 20 minutes, I was a bit afraid of the topic because it's a very large topic. So when we started talking about just the Loire Valley, that was way easier. But you can see this is quite a piece of challenge because you have 2 bottles, one white and red. But in fact, the region is very, very extensive. So you have here on this wonderful photo, the Chateau of Hazel-Rideau, which is, as you can see, one of the chateaux over the Loire Valley, and one of the real marvels that we can find in this region. And this
Bertrand, your screen is not sharing.
My screen is not sharing. Wait a minute. There we go.
Yes. All right. Now we're
That's
good.
Better. Thank you for. Thank you. I'm not the best at Zoom, I have to say, at the moment still.
The best pictures.
All right. So now let's get some geographic. Just here is France. Most of all of you know France, and the region that we will visit today are all this region. And in fact, the journey that we will do will start here in this region, and we will head west to Nantes, which is a very nice city here, but we will spend most of our time here. What you can see here is, in fact, the Loire River is the longest river in France, and it starts here, around here, so it's very, very long. So you see Burgundy is here, and the Lyon is here. So this is really a very, very extensive region. So this is also the largest wine producer in France. So a couple of you already visited the Loire Valley, and the Loire Valley is very famous for the chateaus. And this is one of the few of the marvels that we should visit when we come to the Loire Valley. And the kings of France used to settle and build many of these chateaus because of the climate, which is absolutely perfect, winter and summertime. It's not too hot in summer and quite cool in winter, which is absolutely perfect for traveling for all of us. Here, this is, well, Chambord, one of the, this is François the first masterpiece, I should say, very famous for the scale. And here, this helicopter, this is interesting because we highly, if you may come to the Loire Valley sometimes, we highly encourage you to do some helicopter tour, either from the Loire Valley itself, 20, 30 minutes, or also we can come from Paris to the Loire Valley. Many of our clients, they fly. It's not that expensive, by the way. Surprisingly, it's interesting. Also, the Loire Valley is very famous because of Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was raised here and she died here, by the way. But we are a century before François I that built this magnifique chateau. But this is really something to be scouted and a history to be visited. This is a view of the magnificent river, the Loire. Also, I think this view is very interesting because you have almost everything. You have the river, which is very nice. You have these very special boats that used to be here for decades, for centuries. You have these bridges. If you come to the region, you will see many of these bridges coming from crossing the river. And most of these bridges were built during the late Middle Age, early Renaissance. And here you have a typical city from, so this is Tours, by the way, from the region. And of course, the Loire Valley, it's also the wines. So we have many, many wines. And if some of you feel brave enough, you can bike. We have a lot of biking passes all around the Loire Valley. It's very easy. It's very famous for biking the Loire Valley because you have biking experiences for absolutely everyone. If you are a sportman, you can come and bike with a carbon bike. If you are lazy, you can get an electrical bike and from one chateau to the other, and have some tastings in all through the region. So the beginning is a bit hilly, but very quickly when we are in the heart of the Loire Valley, it's very easy to navigate. This is what we will see today, well, a sample of what we will see. Here we are basically in the heart of what the Loire Valley is and where we have the main vineyards. So we will start our journey here on that part here, and the wine you are tasting here is from here basically, and I will show you that again. And we will go slowly through this region, Amboise, Tours, Chinon, Saumur, and we will end up to the ocean. Hopefully we won't swim today. This is a list here of, well, this is a wonderful view of this region, the heart of the Loire Valley, with these vineyards, these chateaus. And also, this is a list that you may keep for you, a list of all the different regions in this vast region of the Loire Valley. You have all these different wines. All these names are different appellations, so that you may be willing to get into your cellar. I have a few of these in my cellar. All these wines are not always very expensive. It goes in the Loire Valley, which is also very interesting. If we talk money and price of the wines, let's say you can get a very good wine from 10 euros up to several hundred euros. So for example, in the Touraine, in the Chinon, you can get a bottle at 200 euros very easily, a 10 years old bottle. So here is the start of our journey. So we are the landmark between the Bourgogne and the Loire Valley. So we are very east of the Loire Valley and very northwest of Burgundy. And Vézelay is just a magnificent, very small village on a hilltop. And you have a basilica here, which is worth to be visited, the village worth to be visited. And they produce a fantastic wine here, white and red. The red is based on Pinot Noir, of course. And this is really not a typical view of the Loire Valley villages. This is more a Burgundy village that you can see here. So you will see the difference going on through our journey. This is a view of the vineyard in Vézelay. So this is just for you to enjoy these magnificent views. Again, you can see that you can bike, hike. You have many ways to travel within these journeys. What we will do together. So this is in this village of Vézelay, the magnificent basilica. So of course you have mass every Sunday here, and they are quite famous, but also we have many concerts, and Rostropovich, among many famous music persons, come and played here in this basilica. We will visit a few hotels. Each time we arrive into a new city or a new region, I will share with you one of the hotels. Here is the Château de Vaudeluny, which is a 5-star hotel, very small, very tiny, very few rooms, very high luxury, very charming also. And it is a building from the 17th century, French manor and you can see here the architecture is still from Burgundy. This is really a magnificent place. And this is inside, this is a little bit special. This is a chateau inside, one of the rooms. So let's continue to the vineyard, to the wines that you are currently tasting. This, if you go to the village of the wine you have on your table, this is what you will see. This is absolutely magnificent. This is the Sancerre. So the Sancerre, as you can see, they produce wine and red wines. They are absolutely magnificent wines, absolutely magnificent. I hope that you enjoy. The wine that Warren picked up for you is one of the best houses in the region. And this is a very good wine, I think. So you have a vintage. I think this is, I think you have a year on this, on your bottles, but I'm not sure. So let's continue.
2018 on the white.
So
and 2016 on the red.
Should be excellent wines. No? So if you drink into the right at the right degrees, also don't ever hesitate all these wines to open them a little bit in advance, even though for the white wine that they can breathe, and even though you cool it. So let's continue to the Loire Valley. This first image, as we get really in the Loire Valley, is really what you can see, what we can constantly see in this region. You have the Loire, you have villages with these tones here, with this color, and of course, the wines. And as you can see, the Loire Valley is completely flat. Around the Loire Valley, it's a little bit hilly, but the more we will go to the ocean, the more, the flatter that will be. And we arrive in Blois. So this is really what you can see here is a real city. This is not how do you say it? A maquette? I don't remember the name in English. So this is a typical city from the Loire Valley. You have the river in the middle, or on one side, you have these cities with a magnificent chateau. You have one cathedral somewhere, and you have all these houses built in this white stone that comes from the cliffs from the side of the river. Again, the kings of France settled here because of the weather. The weather is absolutely fantastic. It may be a little rainy in winter time, but still it's always a very cool region. And again, a chateau in the Haute-Loire. Don't remember, we are here in Blois, so one of the first city. This one is a 4-star hotel. Frankly, most of the chateaus, the hotels that we will introduce to you are 4-star, either 5-star or 4 stars, never below. You can get rooms from the cheapest from 350, 400 euros up to whatever suites range. And this is again a typical hotel that we will find in this region. And this is a kind of classical decoration that you can find in these hotels. Now we're in Cheverny. This is one of the chateaux in the region. So we are still in the very same region. Cheverny is interesting because this is at the same time, this is a vineyard, quite extensive, an appellation, the Cheverny. So you can buy Cheverny's wine, not specifically from this chateau and this property, but from the other Cheverny's appellation wines around. And Cheverny is also a fantastic garden. You have many, many gardens in this region. And this is all these gardens worth the detour and worth to be visited. And this is one of the way most of the families invented to maintain the chateaus. And this is one of the very good example here in Chaumont-sur-Loire. This chateau, let's imagine yourself, you inherited 40 years ago of one of these chateaus. And yes, you can make a living in Paris, and even though a solid living in Paris, but that won't be enough to maintain such a big piece of art. So this family invented a garden festival, and this garden festival, maybe some of you go or have been to Chelsea in England, to the garden show, Chelsea Garden Show. So this garden show is just after, back to just after the Chelsea Garden Show. So very many of the gardeners that head to England to visit the Chelsea Garden Show come afterward to the Château de Chaumont, to this garden show. This one is very specific. Every year you have a special theme that could be love and so on. This year, this is Mother Earth. This is Gaia, this year festival theme, and that will be extended to the late season, specifically this COVID year. And we continue now to other chateaus and other ballooning experiences. Frankly, this is something to be done these ballooning experiences over the chateaus, helicopter, balloons, everything. Each time you have an opportunity to see the Loire Valley from above, this is something I will encourage you. So the balloon pilots that we use are underweight here. And this is very important because, you may have storm still in this region. So we need that to be very seriously insured, but also to be escorted by very solid pilots. And you have these balloon experiences all around. And we continue a little bit more west, and we arrive in Amboise. And in Amboise, you can see this is a magnificent chateau, but at the same time, built by François I. This is a chateau, in fact, sorry, that was not built by François I, because François I built enormous chateaus, and that he settled first in this chateau. And this Amboise is very famous because that Da Vinci ended his life in Amboise, in fact, and joined François I and spent many years with him, more than 10 years. I think it's something like 20 years. I'm not sure of my history here. I have to check that. And Clos-Lucé, just the other side, and that we can see on this image here, the other side of the Loire River. And François I used to cross the river to see his friend Da Vinci. And Da Vinci, his job was, so this is a place that you can visit from Da Vinci. This is also a manor where he lived. This is a museum. You can see many of his sketches and also many of his works that are reproduced here. Also, one thing to be mentioned, you have a restaurant here, and in this restaurant, the chef is invited to cook recipes from the Renaissance, from the François Ier time. So I encourage you to make a stop to this wonderful place, to Clos Lucé, and to spend a day. This is really part of the Loire Valley experience. And also, a new city means a new hotel, a new small chateau transformed into a hotel and providing to you wonderful 4- and 5-star experiences, very intimate. We always bring you into the smallest chateau we can with the largest level of comfort. Of course, the prices varies, as I said, from 350 euros up to thousands for the suites in these chateaus. And this is one of the manors that we are really fantastic. Of course, all these places, or most of these places, have fantastic gourmet restaurants. And this is one of the many vineyards that you can visit all around these valleys. So recently we delivered a webinar around the Loire Valley, specifically on the vineyards, but that was very extensive and we picked up a few of the vineyards. Really, what I would like you to keep in mind that this is, you have many different private experiences all around the Loire Valley. This is very easy to go to visit the places. You can see this is absolutely magical, very nice, and you will be most of the time welcomed by the owners. And this is easy for us and with Sandra to organize that for you. And of course, you will walk within these vineyards, have a tasting, and so on and so on. As I told you, all these chateaus and all these villages, all these cities were built with stones coming from the quarries, from the cliffs. And these quarries became, most of the time, what you have here. So cellars, and this is the places where we age the wines. So this is again an experience. This is something really to be visited, these troglodyte cellars. Horsing is very famous in the Loire Valley. We have two main places for horsing in France. We have the Loire Valley and we have the Normandy, where we have many haras, many places where we raise the very famous horses, French horses. For the school of French horsing, which is in the Loire Valley, in Saumur, and we will go slowly together to Saumur. So if you are horse ride, this is also the place to come. We have every level of experiences here again, and every level of horses. France is a country of the bakery. In the Loire Valley, as in many other places all over France, when you travel with us, you have a cooking class, and also we encourage you to have a cheese tasting and experience, but also a bakery experience. And here we take you early in the morning, sometimes, most of the time, and you will cook these baguettes. I just want to very quickly give you the story of the baguette. The baguette, it's Napoleon I that requested, that was during the time of Napoleon I that we decided to shape these breads that way. And the reason is the soldier could put the breads into the pans and they could carry the bread easily. And that's how the baguette started in the country.
That's a great story.
And we go now to Tours. So this is just the next city. Again, you have this same ambience, a wonderful cathedral. Most of the cathedrals come from the Gothic period. So the Gothic period started the late 11th century up to the 14th century. And here you can see on this cathedral, you are in the middle. And we have some clues of this, because you can see here you have only one leg. If you came to Paris and to Notre Dame, that will be restored hopefully very soon, you have two of these legs like that. I don't know exactly the name in English, but I'm sure you have noticed that. So the more we go in the latest Renaissance, the higher the cathedral will be, and they will have two legs like that to maintain the walls, because the walls will be very thinner and higher to catch the light and to be closer to God. And this is what it was about. And of course, in Tours, we have a magnificent chateau. And here we have again a manor, the Chateau de Beauvoir, where we take many of our clients. This is a 4-star hotel, very nice, again, with a gastronomic restaurant. And this is really chateau style, a bit old school, but very nice still, these rooms. So you have rooms of any size and at any price again. As I told you, the Loire Valley is the country of the biking, of the family biking, and of the easy biking. So here you can see that this family, they are biking into the vineyards, but you have many tiny roads, and you have again many level of many possible experiences. And you can see this family experience. I'm not sure if this family is either French or American. They are just a family cycling in the Loire Valley, and this is, for me, this is a wonderful view of a good time in the Loire Valley with the family. France is also the country of chocolate. We have chocolate maker, and we consider the chocolate makers are real artists, and we have, of course, chocolate makers, wonderful chocolate makers in the Loire Valley, and they are very happy to share and and to welcome you for a tasting. And we go to Saumur, the place where I was born. So this is a view, again, you have the same stone, the same color coming from the cliffs, and the same roofs, these black roofs, which are also magnificent. And you have a view of these bridges, one of these many bridges that cross the river. Again, a church, which is a simple one here. This is not a cathedral. And we have a wonderful chateau in Saumur that's really worth to be visited. And if we continue, again, we have a small manor. You can see that this one is a recent one. And so we can recognize here the style of the turn of the century, of the late 19th, early 20s. And probably you will see here these round pieces, door, and the round windows here, which really give us, and this here, protection for the wind and the rain, which is typically from this period, the Art Nouveau period. If you come to Paris, also we organize Art Nouveau tours, and if you are keen of architecture of any period, we are very happy to share with you what we do in this industry, whatever the period is. This is the inside of this chateau. And Saumur is the school of the horsing, of the classical horsing. Many of you know Vienne in Austria, but Austria and France were competing with Vienne, the horsing school in Vienne, or the horsing school in Saumur. I have to say, I'm the son of a military officer, and my dad used to horse ride here in that school. And when I was a kid, I used to come and see my dad I'm not sure in that position, but on one of these horses, which are absolutely magnificent. I really highly encourage you to spend 2 hours visiting this place. If you are in Paris, if you like horses, you can go to the stable of the king in Versailles, and this is the same school and the same horses. Magnificent to be seen. kayaking on the Loire Valley, one of the many experiences. Of course, the vineyards, you can see the chateau in the background. This is really a typical view of this region. And you have the troglodytes. So as I told you, along the river, you have the cliffs, these cliffs, and in these cliffs, we have quarries. To protect themselves at some point, the village people started to settle to protect themselves in these troglodytes, and then they became one mushroom farms, and you have many of these mushroom farms to be visited. And so I told you that the Loire Valley is also one of the restaurant and the food, gastronomic food place in France. And we do a lot of, we use a lot of the mushrooms. But in the troglodytes, now people came back at some point, settled again, and you have a couple of very nice guest houses. If you are a little bit adventurous, you can use that. Of course, cooking classes to be visited. And we continue to Angers, which is, we are now very close to the ocean, not that far. And you can see the chateau. You can see the round tower here. So the roofs are missing here. And we can identify that this chateau is from the 12th century, just because of the round towers. Before, the tower used to be square. And as you have the start of the cannon, the bullets, the towers started to be round. And we continue to Château de Noiret. We are one of these hotels, charming hotels in the region. And we finish in Nantes. And in Nantes, so we are by the ocean. This is also the country, a musical country. We have a fantastic festival piano festival during winter time, International Piano Festival, with Didier Martin, which a piano player, fantastic piano player that invites including piano players and musicians from all over the world, including the Americas. And this is one of the 5-star hotel from the city, by the way. We have only one 5-star, which looks like that. And they produce the famous Muscadet, and this is a white wine that is very famous in the region and very nice. And I'm finished for today, but I had just to stop. We had to stop by one of the many open-air markets in all these villages, all these cities. You have open-air markets with local producers. More and more, we're going green, and you will find organic food in all these markets if you enjoy organic food. And this is it for me. I hope that you enjoyed this tour with Sandra, and I will be very happy to address a couple of questions if you have.
Bertrand, thank you so much. This was fabulous. Everyone, I want you to know that this started at 2 a.m. Paris time. So Bertrand was really being a trooper on this. And so thank you. I owe him big time. He'll collect, don't worry. There was a question from Ginger, Bertrand, about whether you would do this on a barge or whether you do this as a land trip.
So no, this is you have a couple of barges on the Loire, but the barges are more in Burgundy, on the Rhône, and on the Seine River. The Loire Valley is not solid enough. You don't have enough water on the barges. So you can't really make it on the barges. But I'm not sure if I have to check if we have not. I think we have one barge, but the itinerary is very short. Mm-hmm. If we have that, I have to double check that, but it's not constant, and it's not very solid, I have to say, because of the water, the level of the water. So it's a landing, everything. I really encourage you to do a landing experience in the Loire.
Okay. Yeah, no, it looks fabulous. My goodness. I mean, you know, all those things to do, even if you're not into wine, there's so many fabulous things. And it was a beautiful scenery and the architecture and everything. Wow, it's just fabulous. Any questions from anybody for Bertrand before we now that we've looked at all this stuff, let's taste it. All right. Okay. Well, if anyone has a question that you think about later, you can always email me, and I'll email Bertrand, and we'll get you an answer.
Yes, so if you want to come to the Loire Valley, it's very easy. So the Loire Valley is one of these many regions. France is so diverse. If you stay in Paris, the Loire Valley, the Burgundy, the Provence, the Riviera, but also we have the Bordeaux wines, which is really a region to be visited for wines, but not exclusively. So we have so many experiences to offer in France.
We could have many trips to France. Many
Yeah,
yes.
believe me, as this is my job to deliver tours in France, and we are certified in the company. We constantly discover new fantastic experiences. We constantly discover new suppliers that are really keen to share what they do, whatever the subject is, and in every possible field. And you know that we have a very strong link with you guys Americans. We love the Americas for many reasons. Also, we believe that as far as your revolution was something that Louis XVI tried and financed, and that came back to him very badly, but that was a strong link between our two revolutions and our histories.
Great. Okay, well, now I'm sure everybody is very thirsty. So Warren, let's enjoy this fabulous wine. Most of you know Warren, but I know we have a couple of new people on here, so I'll just make a very quick introduction. Warren is a dear friend and also an amazing wine purveyor. He owns Duvan, and he took his love of wine and his avocation from his professional job that he wasn't happy at, and decided that what he really wanted to do was follow his passion. So Warren is your go-to person for the most wonderful, as you can see, every time we've done something, you know, it's been, you know, just the most amazing wines from any area. And so Warren always comes through. So whether you're looking for an inexpensive red wine for your pizza or a Grand Cru for your collection, Warren's it. So Warren, take us away to the Loire Valley. We're all dying to hear more about this fabulous wine.
Well, thank you, Sandy. It's nice to see a bunch of familiar faces. And Sandy, the comment you made about if you're not into wine, I think we need to get you into wine.
Well, that's your job, Warren. We're here. Bertrand likes that.
In the morning, if you haven't, maybe it's time for a nightcap. Cognac or something to help you sleep. And of course, this is a special week. So I don't know if you can see, I'm wearing my French.
Oh, congratulations!
All right, go Warren.
Double thumbs up.
It was Bastille Day, which of course is what they call it every day in around the world, but in France it's not Bastille Day, it's just July 4th kind of thing, right? Because there is no Bastille anymore, you know. But to celebrate Bastille Day, this is what a few friends and I did. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway,
we do.
19 of us, and we had about 100 bottles of wine to celebrate Bastille Day.
Wow.
Because my philosophy, as you know, Sandy, is nothing succeeds like excess. Anyway, and so tonight we have a couple of really great wines. I mean, the Loire Valley is fantastic, of course, famous for Chenin Blanc and Sauvignon Blanc and Vouvray and others like that. And red wines generally more Cab Franc than others. But tonight we're going to be drinking a Pinot Noir for our red, which is a little unusual for the Loire Valley, although there is more and more Pinot Noir there. And as far as the wine growing region, besides just the absolute beauty of it, and you know, riding bikes along from Amboise to Chenonceau, for example, one recommendation: when they say it's all downhill, don't believe them. Get the electric bike. You don't have to use the power, but there are going to be parts of the trip where you're going to wish you had the pedaling assistance. especially if we've had several glasses of wine. So, but absolutely a beautiful place to be. Great vineyards, great wines, great food. It's Amboise is just a marvelous, marvelous place. But the Loire Valley, in terms of climat and terroir, just thinking about it a little bit today, is not too dissimilar from Sonoma. You know, you've got the Loire River, and you've got these gnarly sort of chalky clay soils that give tremendous minerality to the wines, and sort of chalky and limestone clay. So what happens is the water drains very quickly away, and the roots have to fight for every drop, similar to, you know, in Burgundy, which allows for the fruit to be very, very concentrated. And also it gets pretty warm there, but also nice cool nights. So you get beautiful diurnal fluctuation, especially as you get closer to the Atlantic. Similarly in Sonoma, where you have the Russian River, and then you have the coast where it gets very warm in the valley, and then it gets in the Sonoma Valley, and it gets very cool at night as those Pacific Ocean breezes blow in, which we're very, very familiar with in the Bay Area. And that lends itself to creating great wines. And the ones we have here, Henri Bourgeois is a fifth generation family now. The kids are running the business. Henri Bourgeois really created great fame with this vineyard in the 50s, really. But absolutely, you know, beautiful wines. We're drinking some of their more accessible wines today. They do have some that are more single vineyard, more artisanally produced, but this is a family-owned winery, and artisanal methods, really, truly letting the expression of the terroir and the grapes come through into the wine with very little interference and very little manipulation. Although they do use malolactic fermentation on the reds to take some of that tartness of the malolactic acid into lactic acid to give it more of that rounder feel, which in white wines tends to give that buttery complexity. In Pinot Noir and red wine sort of softens it, gives it more roundness. The white, however, doesn't go through mallow because we want to keep that acidity in the white wine, particularly with Sauvignon Blanc. So we get those great citrus qualities. I don't know what you folks are getting. I was getting more sort of red grapefruit than sweet orange or anything like that. But on the whites, I mean, certainly I don't know what everyone's getting, but you know, Sauvignon Blanc has great floral notes to it, sort of stone fruit, white peaches, and even, you know, honeysuckle and those other white sort of flowers. But a wonderful fresh wine, great with seafood. I think the recipe we put out, Sandy, was an avocado
and shrimp, right? And Ginger made it.
And that was great. So Ginger, I'm curious to hear how that pairing went for you. But also, of course,
we did too.
Goat cheese from Sauvignon, right? It was world famous goat cheese. Goes perfect with the wines from the Loire Valley as well. So great food wines, great pairing wines. Also very curious, remember I told the story when we did the Babylon Store and wines from South Africa, that most of the wines in Stellenbosch, certainly the Sauvignon Blancs and the Chenin Blancs, came from the Loire Valley when the French Huguenots were expelled. And they brought those pre-phylloxera cuttings. So the two best places in the world for Chenin and Sauvignon Blanc are the Loire Valley and Stellenbosch and Franschhoek in South Africa, interestingly enough. Although they are doing a better job in New Zealand. I kid the Kiwis, it's a rugby thing, it's a rivalry. But so anyway, so that's the one. The red wine, of course, is a classic Pinot, terrific floral notes. You know, beautiful red fruit, raspberries, strawberries, a lovely, light, delicate, feminine wine. Also beautiful with food. I mean, to me, there are a few better combinations than Pinot Noir with braised duck with a plum reduction sauce of some kind. I don't know if anyone cooked the duck tonight.
Yeah, Ginger made the duck. Ginger, did you do the pomegranate with it?
You know, what I did was I bought pomegranate cherry juice and reduced it and then mixed in some orange blossom honey and cinnamon and clove and the cardamom seeds and put that on top. It was perfect.
Oh, good.
Mm. So what do you guys think of the wines? Any questions on the wines? Great structure, great minerality. Any more interested, questions? What do people think? Beulah. I know Alan was drinking beer earlier, so he doesn't get to rave. But it is hot down there in the south, so.
Yeah, it's very hot. 100.
We made the avocado salad too, and the mushrooms. It was really very good. So, Ginger, you made it too?
Well, Lori and David made the avocado and the shrimp, and they spiced it up a little bit more, Lori can say. And I think we agreed that it was really good, but needed maybe a little more acidity in the dressing.
Yep.
And the mushrooms were awesome, and they're really easy. But, anything with bacon and cream cheese is pretty much, how can you go wrong?
Yeah, I would add, the mushrooms are amazing. I would say I would add a little bit more of amazing white wine vinaigrette to this shrimp dish. And even we made our shrimp sauteed with garlic and dried red peppers that David does. And even that, I would add a lot more kick, a lot more spice, a lot more interest to it. But otherwise, it was delicious.
Wow, Anna's picture's beautiful. Look at that. That was a piece of art.
Yep, my mom, who's on this call, Ella, made that beautiful shrimp salad that we just enjoyed with the white wine. It was very good. I think they were saying they put some lime juice on it for a little more acidity.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's like Insta-worthy.
Oh, well, yeah, our plates look pretty good. But they're on my phone, and so I don't have them on the.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, Lori came over and plated them. They were amazing.
Yeah, so we put a lot of fresh lime juice, squeeze the limes and everything, but I still think it needed some white wine vinaigrette would have been perfect addition.
Perfect. Warren, do you have that white wine vinaigrette? If not, you probably want to start making that.
Well, I have, I do like white wine vinaigrette. I find the one in the supermarket is a lot easier to make than the one at home. But
Come on, we want authentic. We want it from one of the vineyards in France. We want a class, Bertrand, on that.
It's easy.
We want an excursion that's like that.
Hey, Warren, can I ask a question about the wine?
Sorry, who's that?
Cindy, hi.
Oh, hey.
Do they use several different Pinot clones in their wines? Or is it really all one track?
I unlike Burgundy, which uses many, I think they have fewer. As I said, Pinot Noir in the Loire is not as prevalent a red wine grape as it is in Burgundy and other places. So I don't know the specific answer to that question, but a reasonably educated guess would be that they would have more limited clones, those that were more appropriate for for the specific terroir and climate, weather conditions and temperatures that they have over there. But this wine, this Henri Bourgeois, the Le Baron, I think with Pinot, certainly in an old world tradition of winemaking with very little manipulation, more than the clone of the grape, it's the essence of the terroir, the soils it grows in and the vinification techniques that just allow that naturally to come through, then in many cases are more important than the specific clone that is used. Clones are really adapted to terroir rather than the other way around. So I would think that the limestone clay, the chalky clay over there would have more of an influence, which is why this is sort of even that's sort of a more minerally drier sort of Pinot than one would find, say, in the Russian River Valley.
That's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's a lovely Pinot and one that goes, I think the beauty of this Pinot is you can just drink it but it also is a really nice complement to food and with food.
So somebody's having the Pinot with lamb, which is interesting. But I was wondering if lamb might overpower this red.
I don't think so. I mean, I like to drink Pinot with lamb. I think the thing to do is to get Pinot when you're having it with the lamb with a little bit of age to it. So you get a little bit more of that barnyard quality, a little bit more of that earthiness, the minerality, the mushrooms and stuff that come through in Pinot that's aged. This is not specifically a Pinot that's designed to age. I mean, this wine is a 16, I believe. So we're drinking it, pretty much at its peak now. It's probably got a few more years left. This is not a wine that's designed like Grand Cru Burgundy or even some of the higher end wines from the Loire to age for 20, 25 years. And
yeah, this kind of wines, you keep them 5 to 10 years maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, I think we're drinking it at its peak now. And I think it's a lovely wine. I mean, this is the current vintage, which is 2016 or 2015. I forget what exactly which one.
I think it's 2016.
2016 is the current vintage, the current release. So next year we'll be on to the 2017. I think that's coming. But also, Famille Bourgeois is really interesting. They have all kinds of different wines. I'm holding up here a La Verte Galante. This is Henry IV. Drank this wine. So they make rosé. They make many single vineyard wines. Le Montam, for example, where they have a great hotel and a great restaurant. So this is just a wonderful producer. And one of my favorite. Some of you who are on my mailing list, a couple months ago, I had a Henri Bourgeois mixed case where we had the rosé, we had a red and a white, slightly more elevated than the Le Baron, but not quite their single vineyard ones, more the appellation wines. But I mean, as I say, these are very accessible wines, are around $30 a bottle. But to Bertrand's point, if you go to the very limited production, single vineyard fruit from Henri Bourgeois, you're going to be looking north of $100 a bottle, which is what you pay in Bordeaux and Burgundy for wines. But I think these hold up really, really well. I mean, I'd put this $30, $28 Sauvignon Blanc against anything in California for twice the price, and I think it'll hold up really, really well.
Yes, for not initiated palates as we are, including myself, even though I consider myself as a solid drinker, when we spend 25, 30 bucks into a bottle of wine, I think it's not really necessary to go beyond if we know how we should select the wines. So if you go to small producer, which is sometimes a challenge for you guys in the US, but it's also on the internet, you can do whatever you want and it's easier. And it's, all of us, we pick up wines, we open the books and we slowly, through the years, we get the distinctions that Warren are describing here, and which is very interesting. It's a long road, it's like everything. But it's and this wine that you picked up, Warren, I think is a very good choice because it's a landmark between the two regions, the Loire Valley and the Burgundy.
Thank you, Bertrand. I agree. I mean, I have this philosophy that you only need one skill when it comes to wine. You don't have to be a master somm or a master of wine or anything like that. You only need one skill when it comes to wine. You want to know what that is?
Drink it.
Let me show you.
Exactly.
That's
right.
So
exactly.
I mean, the reality is that any idiot can sell you a great bottle of wine for $500.
Yeah, I would, if I may say, Warren, I would encourage you to have a second skill, which is dare to put your nose deeply into,
yes,
enjoy this, because very often we drink without putting the nose. But when we do a tasting, all of us, we really put the nose deeply into, this is a glass of water.
How does it smell, Bertrand?
and this is a Spanish glass. Red wine.
You're right. So, I mean, the appreciation of wine is both olfactory in the nose and in the mouth, the front, the mid, the back palate and stuff.
Yes.
I want to get a little bit technical. But as I was saying, you know, if you've got, you know, I'll happily sell you a $1,000 bottle of Montrachet and it will blow your mind. It'll be just a life-changing experience if you've not had that wine. And if you have, it's life changes your life every time you drink it. But the trick is to find a $30, $40, $50 bottle of wine that's not just good, but great. And that's what I like about winemakers like Henri Bourgeois, because you can spend a reasonable or even modest amount of money on a bottle of wine and get a great deal of pleasure and enjoyment out of drinking the wine. I mean, this wine is not expensive, but it's got depth, it's got complexity, it's got secondary and tertiary characteristics, both of these. And I mean, certainly, and you talked about the smaller ones, Bertrand. I mean, one of the things folks on the call know about me is that Duvan, we're not interested in the wines that you can find in Costco and Bevmo and, you know, and even in some of the, you know, the good wine shops. We look to find wines that are very, very difficult, you know, to find. So I'm looking at a few on my counter there. You know, there are wines that I procure and share, some of which you guys have had. I mean, you could walk from Seattle to Miami and stop at every single liquor store on the way and not find a bottle of Babylon Store in Nebuchadnezzar.
That's why we love you, Warren. You get us the best wines ever.
Yeah. And Lainey, I know we were talking about doing the Veneto, so we're going to do a series with Lainey on the Veneto, and I was tasting some wine, and we've been drinking this Pinot Etoile from the Veneto from Macallan. I mean, this is an astounding wine. If you like white asparagus, if you go to the Veneto, they will pour you Pinot Etoile at Macallan with white asparagus. It's an amazing combination. And it's like a $15 bottle of wine, and it's outstanding, outstanding. Pinot Etoile. In fact, I just bought the last 5 cases. I liked it so much when the rep was here, tasting me and Connie on it last week. Well, I did get a little crazy with one of the reps because I found this wine from the Priorat in Spain. It's one of the best wines I've ever discovered, best deal I've made since I started the business. It was a wine, Viñas Velas, Vin in French, old vine, 75-year-old vines from the Priorat. It's Carignan and Grenache, and the wine was mind-blowing. It's a 2014. It got the most ridiculous scores, 18 out of 20 from Jancis Robinson, 96 from Parker and Wine Enthusiast and everybody. And I tasted this wine. I was like, oh my God, it's so great. And I did this deal. I bought it all from the distributor. But then the distributor didn't want to buy any more from the importer because it's tough to sell wine right now for COVID. So the importer offered me the wine at a screaming deal. I bought the last 76 cases available in the United States. I've never, ever done that.
Wow.
I usually buy a case based on what people want. I'm not in the wine storage business. You know, but this wine just blew my mind. It's amazing. I think Stan picked some up. I forced him to. I said, I'm not even
All right, well, it's only a few 76 cases. If you want it, contact Warren.
But I'm saying that's the kind of thing is find wines that really are exciting and interesting, and when you discover one that knocks your socks off, you know, dive in with, you know, head first and just immerse yourself in that experience. And there's nothing wrong with finding something you love and sticking to it. I mean, I'm very adventurous and I expand my horizons, but you know, we all have our core house wines, so to speak. I have 100 house wines, but you can have 3 or 4 if you like.
Also, if I may say something, I consider the wines as a gate for explorations, because we talked about the wine tasting. So when and you said, Warren, that if you drink it and enjoy it, it's the first step and it's already absolutely fantastic. And then the second step, you put your nose into the the glass, and you like it, and you have the distinctions, what you like, what you don't like, and so on. And then the next step is you look at the color of the wines, and then you will enjoy the wine. And then how you will, the next step will be, you will look at the grounds, you will look at the grapes, and then beyond that, you will look at the terroir. And then next step, you will look at the villages, at the architecture, at the history, and so on and so on. So this is just, the wine is a gate to explore the world.
That's right.
So I encourage you to explore the world
The world through wine, which is what we've been doing.
And the only thing we have to do now is watch Netflix and drink wine. So what else are we going to do?
Well,
yeah, this is very important. You know, in France, we, for very long time, we considered that France was almost the only country where you had decent wines. We apparently were a bit arrogant sometimes, and but thanks to the competition, because nowadays it's been, let's say, 30-40 years that we find more than decent wines all through the planet. You go to Greece, Italy, Spain, all through the South America, in the US, but you go also to Switzerland, to England now, and in all these countries, you find absolutely wonderful wines at any prices. And you know what is the benefit for the French people? We had to raise the bar. So now, thanks to this competition, because we were really literally sleeping years ago. In my father's age, people raising wines were sleeping. Now they are no more sleeping. They can't. If you want to make a living, they have to move and to provide really decent experiences. And this is fantastic.
No, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the thing, Bertrand, is they were always making great wines around the world. I mean, they were making wines in the 1600s in the Cape. It just took the French 250 years to recognize and admit that other people could make great wine. But it's interesting that what you say, because there's no question, particularly the Bordelais in Bordeaux, that the 70s in Bordeaux, late 60s and 70s in Bordeaux, there's no question the winemakers were resting on their laurels. They'd spent centuries selling what they called claret to the English, who just bought it year after year, the 1855 classification, first growth, second growth, etc. And if you drink the great wines of Bordeaux from the 70s, even Lafite, Mouton, Haut-Brion, Cheval Blanc, Comtesse de Lalande, all of these from the 70s, they're mediocre wines. If you can find a great one from the 60s, 50s and 60s, they're outstanding. But beginning in the 80s, and Robert Parker had a lot to do with this, the technology and the access to the American market, which really exploded in the 80s, the quality of the wines from the early to mid 80s and now through the 2000s there's no question that the quality of wine today, not only coming out of France, but everywhere in the world, is the best it's ever been in the history of wine.
Absolutely.
And certainly with French wines, the French wines are better than they've ever been. But think about it. When last did you have a bad bottle of wine? I'm not talking about, obviously there's different levels of quality of wine, right? There's your Tuesday night $20 Coiffer, and then obviously Premier Grand Cru, from Pomerol is a different story. But I can't remember when last I had a bad wine, even to Batchuk. The wines are all well made, different levels of quality, but science, technology, the internet, I mean, it's hard to find a badly made wine. Although I'm a little bit skeptical about the whole natural wine movement. I think a lot of that's an excuse to just, put a fancy millennial label on something that grew on the inside of a camel and call it wine. But generally speaking, I can't remember when I had a bad wine. The more I like, there's some I like more than others, and some don't particularly suit my flavor profile or taste. But the world of wine now is just extraordinary. Anywhere you go.
Yeah, we can find it.
Well, we're a little over the top of the hour, so I want to respect everybody's time. Does anybody, if anyone wants to stay on, please feel free. If you need to leave, please feel free. This is the end of our series 2. So I'll be sending you a follow-up email. And if you think you want to continue this, let me know, and we can go into series 3 and a bunch more places in the world to do and look at and experience and drink. So that would be great. It's been wonderful having all of you. It's been fabulous to see your faces and to drink with you and to hear and to see Ginger cook her stuff and everything else. So all I can say to everybody is take care, stay healthy, please wear a mask. I am tired of all this. I want to get past this. Please wear a mask. Bertrand, what are you showing us?
I show you the time. It's 3:10, my
Oh,
time. So if you, with your permission, I will go back to
oh, go to
bed.
sleep. Sweet dreams, Bertrand. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
That was a wonderful experience.
All right.
And, talking about wines.
So Barbara, I'm curious. What did you think of? I know you're a wine person. What did you think of the wine?
Sorry, of the
Barbara, I'm asking Barbara. Good night, Bertrand. It's lovely.
Bertrand, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Sweet dreams.
Bye.
Is it me we're talking to, Warren?
Yeah, we were emailing each other, and you said you
Yes.
wanted to reserve.
Well, we haven't opened up the wine yet because we're going to make the avocado shrimp salad now and open the wine. We've been having a little cheese and bourbon.
Okay.
So
And what vintage was that bourbon, Barbara?
well, I have to.
How's the terroir of that bourbon?
Yeah,
The terroir was
it
fabulous.
was fabulous. At the recommendation of a friend, I've become an ambassador on Maker's Mark, and we have a cask that has our name on it now in Kentucky. But
Oh,
then
wow.
we have the duck. We got the duck and some pomegranate seeds, and we're going to do the duck in a couple of nights. So
Okay.
and open the red. So that's our plan.
All right. Sounds like a plan to me.
So it's great. We'll let you know, Warren, but I think it's going to be fantastic.
Well, let me know before tomorrow in terms of what you want, so I can compose that mix those cases you want.
That
And-
sounds wonderful.
And also, Sandy, what I was thinking, we talked about this just the other day. It's a little more accessible for some of us here in the Bay Area. We could actually do a day trip. Is maybe start thinking about Napa or Sonoma.
Absolutely.
Some wonderful wines coming out of there too.
Yeah, the problem we have right now is that you can only go to the wineries if they're, I mean, it's got to be outdoors. And when it's really hot right now in Napa Sonoma, that's a little tough. So
Yeah, it is. And some have better places to go than others. Look at Ginger killing me. We can't get infected.
I love you, Ginger.
We are about to do dessert, so I was getting ready for David and Lori to come in the house.
Okay.
But hey, I've got some friends at Talisman, and maybe they buy from some vineyards, and maybe we could do a picnic in a vineyard.
Well, I mean, there's that. I mean, Paul Sloan at Small Vines, Paul and Catherine Sloan would be happy to have us. He's probably the best Pinot Chard maker in California. He studied at Domaine Romani Conti. It's called Small Vines because the vines are small, like in Burgundy. And he does it in the Burgundian style with only 6 branches per vine and 2 clusters per branch. So his yield per vine is 12 clusters of grapes. The guy across the street gets 120. I told another friend of mine who's a winemaker about Paul's technique, and he says, sounds like a great way to lose money. But the wines are just out of this world. And they have outdoor, we can do outdoor, small. We have to do small and socially distanced and everything, even though we're outdoors, we want to be prudent. But there are a couple of places. My friends Dave and Stacy Goldneck in the Santa Cruz Mountains are making the best Pinot and Chard in that area, better than Reese, better than Fogarty, and just amazing. Aaron Jordan is their winemaker. So there are a handful of places that we can go where we can be outdoors and not get fried in the sun, that I think are where we can be prudent and smart and can be relatively safe or more safe than if we were in other places.
Warren, you and I will get together and we'll work this through. And then when we figure out what's available and what we can do, we'll send an invitation to everybody, people, and we'll make it happen. What are you showing us, Ginger? Oh, the cake. Oh, wow.
Awesome.
We're going to the backyard for dessert. So we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks, Ginger. Great seeing you as always.
All right.
Thank you, Sandy. Great job again. I loved it.
All right. Any other questions, comments before Warren takes off or anything like that?
Bye,
It's great
guys.
seeing you
Thanks,
guys.
Sandy.
I'm sorry this is the last one.
Thank you.
We'll get back in touch
Good
again.
night, Sandy. Good night, Warren. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Stan, John, I'll see you in, John's gone. Stan, I'll see you in a few days and drop off your wine.
Right.
And John, too, I'll see you in a couple of, there he goes.
Thank you.
Wednesday, Thursday, John, I'll swing by with your wine.
That sounds great.
Good.
Thank you, Warren.
Be well.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Stay healthy.
Thank
Wear
you.
those masks.
Evan and David.